welcome to County Connection. My name is Julie Suter, Public Affairs Coordinator for Summit County Government. And for our first segment, I have with me Aaron Byrne, Director of the Summit County Resource Allocation Park. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, Julie.
And Brian Dennison, the President of the Summit Range Association. And we're here to talk about a great amenity in Summit County, the Summit County Shooting Range, which is up in your neck of the woods near the landfill and the materials recovery facility and composting. So all kinds of things happening up there.
Lots of stuff happening up there these days, Julie. So, yes.
So Aaron, why don't you start off by giving me a little history of the shooting range and kind of a little dive back in time.
Yeah. Well, as you first mentioned, Julie, the shooting range has been a huge benefit in Summit County. It's a lot of the community has, demanded a shooting range, and it's really been a huge way to really have a controlled environment where their safe shooting takes place. So it's been a huge benefit. Over the years, the shooting range has had a lot of issues per se. Back in the day, the shooting range was really a range where people, there was no rules, there was no regulations, there was just
kind of a space
to shoot, which we all know in Summit County that we need a space to shoot. It's a lot better to have that environment in a shooting range that, other than a trailhead out on Forest Service property or somewhere where there would be some unsafe activities taking place. But the shooting range back in the day, without the rules and regulations, there was a lot of shooting that took place that with targets that were, you could say, the shooting range consisted of a lot of trash. People would bring TVs, computers, propane tanks, dishwashers.
These are some exciting targets.
Yeah, of course. The people really liked the reaction they got out of the targets. And unfortunately, the people that did abuse the shooting range rules and do the shooting there left the materials behind. So we were responsible for the cleanup. So over the years, there has been a lot of volunteer folks that came about, and we've had just multiple folks in the community, the 4-H, just regular volunteers, the Boy Scouts, the Eagle Scouts, just really develop and organize a volunteer cleanup. And over the years, we've had a lot of people that, if it wasn't for these folks, the range would not be open today. I mean, there was a lot of people that supported the range, and whether they did it on their own or whatever, there was a lot of people that really was involved in the range. But still, there was that percentage of folks that just things got out of hand, and it came to a point in about 2010 where we had a lot of people that used the range suggest that maybe the range should be closed due to the safety issues that were at hand, the contamination, the trash, everything that was left behind. So we looked at the range, and we looked at what was going on and said, hey, what do we need to do? What would be a solution to really get the range cleaned up and see what the public thought? So we got a group together. We did a public notice. And we got a group together that really, we had a list of questions, and we asked the community, hey, if we continue using the range, what are your recommendations? What would you suggest? Do we close the range? Do we open the range? And wow, did we start getting feedback from the community. A lot of people, a lot of the users that use the range, we started getting feedback, positive feedback from the community to keep the range open. And things started to develop. So we had this task force for the shooting range that we met over a period of time that started addressing the concerns and really looking at what needed to take place to get this range to run efficiently and in a safe manner where people enjoyed coming to the range. I'm a very avid outdoorsman and hunter enthusiast, and it was an embarrassment to me when I would go up to the range and see what people did, what they would leave behind, signs and stuff in place. And just the abuse in the range. And not everybody, but there's just a percentage of people that...
A few knuckleheads.
Exactly. So during this task force process and some of the county staff working on range improvements, we had this awesome, you could say, group that emerged from the task force, and that was the Summit Range Association.
Okay,
And
so the Summit Range Association really grew out of this process. It wasn't a pre-existing group.
that's
No,
correct.
we started up, as Aaron stated, there was a group of people that were volunteering, and we decided we needed a group formed. And so we formed the Summit Range Association. This was approximately right about 2 years ago we did this.
Okay.
And it was the core of the group are the volunteers that had been part of the cleanup, part of the, as Aaron was talking about, that we were organizing and deciding what we felt the range should be like, along with the county commissioners who oversee all of what we do. So we formed 2 years ago, elected officers, started looking into what direction we wanted it to go, and started getting grants out there, grant applications. Friends of the NRA, Colorado Parks and Wildlife have all been very good to us, as well as just the people who use the range. They come in, donations, we have donation tubes up there. People come in and donate, throw $5, $2, whatever they can afford, into our donation tubes. And we also fund the range with all the brass everybody leaves on the ground. We collect, and then we take it down to Golden and we sell it down there. So
And I think that's really interesting and kind of taps into Aaron's mission over on the recycling side of
It
that,
definitely does.
land. And so how much money do you end up raising from recycling the brass?
from January 1st through October 1st of this year, $4,000 just from recycling the brass.
That's pretty impressive.
And another $5,000 from donations from the people that
Oh,
are up
wow.
using the range. So it's been, the community's really supporting us. And
So it's really kind of a user-funded,
it
the
is.
people who are utilizing the
That lets
amenity.
us meet our expenses. We supply ear protection, we supply targets for people, because we only allow paper targets now and spinners that sit in your firing lane.
So no more TVs and
And no more
propane tanks.
washers and dryers, and, and believe me, those are hard to haul off. So we don't see that anymore. And then one gentleman actually brought his ATM machine up there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. So aside from kind of these obvious changes of different types of targets and a much cleaner environment, how would you describe the difference in the experience for people who are using the range now?
I've gotten feedback from people that the before and after feedback, and people were afraid to bring their children up. And that's what we want to encourage. The shooting sport's a lot of fun for people. Shooting targets is a ball. The competition you get into with your friends, your family. But they wouldn't bring their kids up because it was pretty nasty up there. Now that we keep it clean, and of course the cleaner you keep it, the cleaner it stays, people bring their kids up and just really enjoy spending an afternoon there. That's one of the things we've noticed. About 60% of the people that come up to our shooting range are not from Summit County. They're from the Front
really?
Range.
Huh.
Anywhere from Fort Collins down to Castle Rock and Colorado Springs.
And is that because they happen to be wanting to spend a day in the mountains, or are there not really ranges like we have in those places?
Yes,
Or?
to both.
Okay.
They don't have a free public range down there. We have one. Obviously, the views from our range are the best in the county.
Yep.
And so they love to come up, they love the views. Especially in the summertime, they'll come up just for the day. But this is also we always laugh. We see the snowboarder or the skier come walking up there in their ski gear in the middle of winter. They've spent the day at one of the ski resorts, then they come up to the shooting range, spend a couple hours in the afternoon before they head home.
Oh, so one of Summit County's newest tourist attractions.
Absolutely.
Great. So what are some of the regulations or guidelines that you've put in place to make it a safer, more organized experience for folks?
We train range safety officers. We hold a class. We've held classes once a year. We're getting ready to hold another one. And anytime we think it's going to be busy, especially on weekends, we try and make sure there's a range safety officer up there. And basically, the range safety officer is there to tell new shooters, here's what you should be doing. Always point your firearm downrange, not anywhere else. You never load your firearm till you're on the shooting, at the firing line. Things like that. Keep your finger off the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Make sure you know what's behind your target. We have quite a few rules, and for the most part, people are very receptive to it because it makes for a safe shooting environment. And let's face it, even somebody like myself, I've been shooting for 50 years at least, since my father taught me. And we all forget. You know, we have that mental lapse where we forget. Well, that's what the range safety officer's there, is to remind everybody. We want everybody to have a good time, but we want them to be safe.
Right. And then you're also, I would imagine that your presence there is really kind of keeping things from kind of slipping into the past and keeping those standards high for safety and keeping it clean and all that kind of thing.
It does, and we have a list of rules that have been approved by the county commissioners, and we enforce them. Let people know that you have to follow this rule, that you can't just come in and do whatever you want, because we want it to be safe for everybody. Friends of the NRA has given us 3 or 4 grants. We've done put up signage, a lot of signage, telling people what the rules are. We've done a new shed where we can keep loaner equipment and things that we have up there. We've also mounted, for trap shooting, we've mounted 3 permanent clay throwers. Very nice ones that, you know, people don't have to bring up their own or bring up hand throwers. So we've done that with the grants from Friends of the NRA. CPW grants, we have been just absolutely terrific. We've spent the last 6 or 8 months drawing up plans, architectural drawings of what we want to do. Putting concrete under the benches, covering about half the benches, so if it's raining or snowing, which it tends to do up here, then you can still shoot and be out of the most of the weather.
Okay.
We're also putting in outhouses up there so that we have facilities right there at the range. And
Colorado Parks and Wildlife, who you were mentioning, provided that grant. So they're a big supporter of this. And for folks who may not be familiar with that connection, can you guys talk a little bit about them as a partner?
Yeah. So Julie, one of the big things that commissioners support in the community and Colorado Parks and Wildlife and the NRA, the Friends of the NRA, was to keep the shooting range a public shooting range to the community. So it's free. We want the community to come up and enjoy it, and that's been a big part of our mission going forward, that we would keep it free. And with all these amenities now and having that physical appearance, the SRA, the chief range safety officers, the range safety officers on that firing line have been just it's been a huge benefit to the folks that come up, because a lot of people at a free public range, when they step on the range, they're not anticipating having somebody there really talking to them about gun safety and you know, coaching them along if they have questions, and that's a huge benefit. And Colorado Parks and Wildlife and the Friends of the NRA have supported this greatly. And so over the years, the Friends of the NRA have supported the range and really kicked things off. The local chapter here in Summit County, just with the initial the capital investments on the range. We had some bricks and mortar things put in place, as Brian mentioned, the RSO shed, the ADA ramp, which was new this year. So we have all these amenities that have been put in place, and we've got huge support from the Friends of the NRA. Colorado Parks and Wildlife, in the initial stages of our task force meetings, their local district wildlife officers were heavily involved in the supporting the range. Not only do we have 4-H users in the community that use the range, the youth, that the kids that
the next generation of
come.
and
Yes. I mean, since this range has been online and we've made these improvements, thank you to the community and the supporters, we've had all these special events at the range where rimfire challenges. The 4-H has used the range. We've had the women groups that have come up to do
Team Endeavor's been up there 2 years.
Yeah.
They bring teenage girls into Keystone. They stay at Keystone. And they go hiking. They do various activities here in the county. Well, 2 years ago, they contacted us and they said, can we come up and you guys, help us with shooting activity? And they came up and it was a ball. They're all teenagers. Some of them are better shots than we are. They've been shooting their whole life. Others have never touched a firearm. And so it's just the excitement on their faces. They love it. And we just have a ball training them, showing them the safety, what safety rules to follow, and just teaching them about firearms. So it's 2 years in a row now they've been up there. Great. And it's one of our most popular events as far as the RSOs are concerned, because they just love it.
Yeah.
And we had another group of women came up that was in the county for a function that came and shot with us as well. As Aaron mentioned, we have a rimfire challenge where it's open to anybody who wants to come up and shoot 22s, and we have both the adult division and the child division, and it's been a lot of fun as well. We've done that 2 years now.
Great.
So we're getting more and more involved in this. There's another project coming up, I think this winter. We're in the process of talking to some people about a wounded warrior, putting something together with the wounded warriors, skiing, and a contest skiing and shooting. So we'll see how that develops. We're real anxious to get into that one.
Excellent. And this time of year in the fall, a lot of hunters are up there. And
we're real busy right now with the hunters.
All right.
It's that season.
All right. So you have some improvements in store that the most recent CPW grant helped to fund. So what do we have in store for the future?
We just finished the ADA parking that was funded by Friends of the NRA, one of their grants, and starting in probably mid-May to around June 1st, depending on the weather. That's when we really start with our major improvements with the CPW grant. They were very, very supportive. They gave us a grant last year and this year, and they're allowing us, because it's taken so long to put together the plans, because they're pretty extensive, they've allowed us to spend that money in the next spring, and concrete pads under all the shooting benches, covers over half of them, the outhouse right there. And that's a lot of money that we have to put into that. So we're, this time next year, people won't even recognize the range. It's going to be that much nicer than it is already.
All right. And so I suppose people should probably stay tuned as far as construction activity and that kind of thing.
SummitRange.org is our website, and that has all the any information on what we're doing, how to contact people, and it also has our calendar showing when we have safety officers up there, if we're closing the range for any kind of construction. So that's all on our calendar, and all they have to do is go there. If they have any other questions, there's contact information on our website.
All right, fantastic. And I suppose you're probably, if folks want to become safety officers or range officers, then they can do that too by contacting?
They can contact us through the website. Sometime coming up, probably November, maybe not till early December, we'll be having another class.
Okay.
And they can sign up for it, contact us. We'd love to have the volunteers.
All right. All right. Well, thanks so much to you guys, your whole organization, for all the great work and
Thank
the great
you.
partnership that you provide up there. And thanks, Aaron, for all your hard work up there as well, and coming here today to spread the word.
Thank you.
All right. Stick with us. We will be right back talking about healthy eating in Summit County.